Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. On this week's episode, we'll hear from Dan about his improvisational journey, play a couple games, and most importantly, learn how he improv'd his life. Let's hit it. Welcome to Improv for the Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lee Evans, and today I am joined by the incredibly talented future doctor, Dan. Oh my goodness, Dan, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm very well. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing quite well, Dan. Thank you for asking. It's been a bit of a, the one super rainy day a year today.
Oh yeah.
And that's been, that's always interesting.
It's a vibe.
Yeah. I just think about consistently, there's this old BuzzFeed video where it's like how Los Angeles reacts when it's raining and just people go crazy. And it's very true. I think about it all the time.
They stay inside.
Yeah, they stay inside. They drive terribly.
Yep.
And we complain about it.
Exactly.
even though we need it. So I've had a lot of that today. But Dan, thank you so much for coming on. I want to ask you, before we get started into our games and our juicy interview, what is your relationship to IFTP? How long have you been involved, taking classes, all that good stuff?
I joined IFTP in April of this year. Right. If my math is correct, that's 7 months ago.
7 months ago.
And
okay.
I have done classes consistently for those 7 months.
All right. Awesome. All right. And are you taking a class right now?
I am.
All right. And what class are you in?
I am in Matt's Wednesday class this month.
The Wednesday class.
The infamous Wednesday class.
Yes. I used to be in the Wednesday class for a long time up until, I think April. April was my last month in the Wednesday class, and then I had to back out for a little while.
Okay. So right when I arrived at IFTP, yeah.
I know. Well, I'm sad now because I just missed out.
Yep.
But I think one day I'll try and get back around to it. But I think that I'm a little biased to that Wednesday class.
Well,
I love that group.
On behalf of the Wednesday class, I've yet to step foot in this month. We would love to have you back.
All right. I mean, we'll see. I could totally ruin the vibe. Coming, everybody's like, oh gosh, came back. We enjoyed our past 6 months free.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know that, Dan.
All right. We have to say yes in improv. So yes, and they would hate to have you back.
Exactly. Thank you. No, That's what I want to hear.
Always here for validation, Michael.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So Dan, I know you are many things. You are a talented improviser. I know you do a little bit of stand-up. I know you do a ton of research and so many other things. And we'll get into that tonight, in our interview. But before we do, as always, as is tradition here on Improv for the Podcast, we're going to play a little three things. So Dan, we're playing three things, but it's personal edition. I've got some categories picked out, hand selected based off what I learned about you from the power of Google. So we're going to get into that. Dan, are you ready to play some three things?
I am ready.
Fantastic. All right, Dan, here we go. These are three things. Ooh, types of doctor.
Medical.
1.
Philosophical.
2.
Doctor of psychology. A PsyD.
3. These are three things. Facts about table tennis.
You're not allowed to wear a white shirt at tournaments because it blends in with the ball.
1.
The table is 9 feet by 5 feet in dimensions.
2.
You must toss the ball 6 inches high when you serve, or else it is an illegal serve.
3. These are three things. Finally, reasons why Americans eat so much meat.
Eating meat is a part of traditions and cultural customs.
1.
People think meat tastes really good.
2.
Because for men, eating meat feels manly.
3. These are three things. Oh my gosh, Dan, that was electric.
Oh, great.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Just activated multiple parts of my identity in a way that's never happened before.
Excellent. That was the goal. That's always the goal with that little warm up there. All right. So types of doctor. Now, Dan, for those of us who are at home right now, they might not know. Why did I ask you about types of doctor?
I'm an esteemed physician, actually. So
Wow.
have zero experience having MD programs, but I'm doing my PhD in social psychology, and I'm currently in my 5th year of the program there at UCLA.
Wow. With one more to go after that, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We have a
Wow.
6-year track. It varies from school to school. We do a 6-year program.
Okay, that's fantastic. So just for the record, Dan actually was the doctor that removed my appendix a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to do a really shady thing with insurance to work that out, but I got Michael covered.
Yeah, that's the only type of doctor there is, right? Just appendix removal doctors.
Exactly, with half of a PhD in psychology.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
so just like a PH,
Yeah.
like not the whole thing.
Yep. Haven't gotten the D yet.
Yeah, still working on it, still working on it. But maybe next year. Well, thank you for sharing on that. And we'll get to that a little more later. All right. That's second category, facts about table tennis.
Yes.
Now, Dan, if I am not mistaken, you are something of a table tennis player.
I am.
Bit of an understatement.
Yes, I've been playing table tennis now for nearly 20 years and playing competitively for about 10 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And competitively, I would say, I mean, you've competed at the highest level there is, Dan.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Dan has an incredible website, and I was just learning fun facts about Dan. You've competed in tournaments as recently as this year. Is that correct?
Yes. I right now is November. I competed in a tournament in July.
Oh my gosh.
Nowadays, I mean, COVID really interrupted a lot of things,
Sure,
but
sure.
For the past year, and ongoing, I try to do 2 tournaments a year is my goal.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Okay. Now I got a question for you. Now I guess the official term for the sport would be table tennis.
Yes.
So if I say ping pong, that is incorrect.
If you say ping pong, you might get some weird looks at the real table tennis clubs.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't be there if I say ping pong.
It's a weird curve where you start saying ping pong when you do it just in a basement. Then you go start playing at clubs and trying to train, and then you start saying table tennis. And then you get to a level where you're like, you know what? I'm gonna call it ping pong again, just to like show how chill I can be with the sport. So I like to call it ping pong. When you say table tennis, it can sound a little pretentious.
Yeah.
People don't know what sport you're talking about, at least. So I say table tennis when I'm talking to other table tennis players.
Got
and
it.
I say ping pong to all other people.
Us regular folk who don't, who are not
Exactly.
competitive. Got it. All right. That's interesting. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense though, because I think like for people who are competing at a level such as yourself, right? You take it very seriously, and like where people who play ping pong, well, like me, we stink at it. So
It's definitely a sport where there's a learning curve to
Yeah.
be able to just get a rally going. Like,
Yeah.
for example, for surfing, I've never surfed in my life. And even just to balance on the board is really hard.
Yeah.
And then there are other sports like soccer, like anyone could, most people can walk up to a ball and just kick it. And that's the foundation. I guess table tennis is a little closer toward maybe surfing, where even just to hold the racket or get a rally going takes a bit of training. So it can be frustrating for people to get into the sport.
Yeah.
But once you have that down and can hold a rally, it's a really fun sport to then improve your skills in, I think.
yeah, definitely. You had mentioned one of the facts about the sport was that you have to, was it bounce 6 inches before you serve it? Or?
What it is when you serve the ball, let's say, you have here and you have your racket here. You toss the ball up and you hit it. You have to toss it at least 6 inches. So you can't just hold it in your hand and smack the ball right out of your hand.
Got
you can't
it.
just like drop it and hit it right away.
Yeah.
You have to toss it at least 6 inches up and then hit it.
See, I have a friend who just holds it in his hand and hits it.
Yeah, and smacks it right against
And it's
the
some
racket.
dirty serves.
Yeah,
Some
it's-
dirty serves.
The reason for that is when you just do that, there's an unfair limited reaction time that your opponent has for the ball.
Yeah.
If your standardized requirement is to toss it 6 inches, you see your opponent toss it and you can get ready for them to hit it at you.
Yeah, so next
Yeah.
time I play him, Tyler, I'm going to mention that. And
you
hopefully, we'll get a little more within regulation and
Yep.
I'll be able to score some points.
Yeah.
I lost 10-0. So you've been thinking about that a lot.
Well, I know a few good coaches, Michael. So,
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I mean, I feel like you yourself would be an excellent coach.
Thank you.
All right.
You'd have more fun with me than you would learn the game of ping pong. I like to have fun when I play.
I like to have fun too. So there you go.
I can't promise how much better you would get, but I can show you a good time on the court.
Fair enough. All right. Okay. I got one more table tennis question.
Sure.
It's a fascinating
Hit
thing.
me with them.
Okay. So, in the movie Forrest Gump,
Yeah.
there's a scene of him training to play. he's just hitting, like he has the table folded in half and he's just hitting up against the folded up half of the table. Is that a good training method?
It is not. It is a good training method if you are new to the sport and you want to work on your hand-eye coordination or some response time. Just get your brain used to predicting how fast the ball goes and how fast it will come back at you. Beyond those very basics, it is not a good training because it does not mirror any conditions under which you'd actually receive a ball in a real game. So when you hit the ball against a wall, the wall is just this concrete or solid object, and whatever spin or velocity you put on the ball, it will come at the exact same back at you. That will never happen in a real match because you have a human opponent with a paddle of their own that has a dynamic rubber on it. So your spin, your speed will interact with whatever they're doing in a way that you simply cannot predict as well as you can with the wall. So it's very unnatural circumstances to train on. It's more just for fun or to get the feel of the ball and paddle, but it's not a good training method.
Or it looks good.
I do. It's good for a movie, for sure.
Exactly.
The Forrest Gump, though, that's one of my favorite movies, especially for its feature of table tennis. And what's really cool is one of the table tennis club I train at, the directors of that club were involved in the Forrest Gump movie and directing the table tennis aspect of that. So really cool stuff just hearing from them of how that went down. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. So Forrest Gump is a fraud.
Apparently, though, Tom Hanks did some real scenes though, and actually, did his own prop work with ping pong. So gotta give a shout out to him there. Forrest Gump, though, he may not have the skills that they display on the movie.
Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Well, he was good at other things. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Still an idol of mine, though.
Yeah, definitely. I do enjoy that film. All right, Dan, move into that last category. Reasons why Americans eat so much meat. So, of course, the reason I asked Dan about this is just based off my own research into some of Dan's work in that PhD program. You've researched, you're a psychology student, right? A doctorate in psychology, a PSD, right?
PhD.
PhD. Oh, boy. PSD, that's like the Photoshop file. That's what those are called. I'm getting so jumbled. Thank you, Dan.
I guess you could call it a PSD because it's a pretty sick degree.
Woo! All right, we should just end the episode right there. All right, thank you so much. Killer. Okay. Oh, that was good. Okay. I can't come back from that.
Making up my own improv games out here.
I know. You're killing me. So in your program, I noticed some of the articles that you've contributed and written, and a lot of the topics that you've researched have to do with like eating habits.
Yes.
And a big thing you focused on, I think, was related to meat and kind of how that tied into the pandemic as well. Which led me to the question: Are you a meat eater? Are you a vegetarian, vegan? Just made me curious.
Yeah. So I have been vegan now for about 8 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a saying in academia called research is me search. And so I definitely embody that, where my own experiences have informed the research that I do. And so, that's how I got into doing this research, was my own lived experiences.
Got it. I like that saying, research is me search, because I think that is very, very true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know half the time I research anything, it's because like it has to do with myself.
Yeah.
Even at a very like basic level of just Googling.
Yeah. You need motivation to do any type of job and to do research. So what better motivation than doing something that is helping you understand your own perceptions in your own life? I mean, that's one of the most fundamental motivations we can have, is to understand ourselves, to understand the world we live in and how we perceive other people. And so it's very easy to stay motivated when you're connected personally to your research topic, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Dropping the wisdom already, Dan. All right. Pretty sick wisdom.
My PSW is
yeah. There you go.
Postgraduate degree I'm going to do.
There you go. Amazing. All right, Dan. Well, I would love to chat table tennis and meat eating habits of Americans all day, because we do have some strange habits here in America about eating meat. I included in that. But, I do the occasional Meatless Monday. So, not to toot my own horn. But
There you go.
the reason we're here, of course, is working on, as always, funding our soon-to-be fully lit sign. So we got to chat some improv, Dan.
Yep.
So I want to know, where did it all start for you? When was the first time in your life you learned about improv? The first time you maybe heard about what it was, maybe you saw a show. When was that for you?
For me, my first exposure to improv was when I was in high school. For a requirement to graduate, we had to do some sort of arts, like arts elective class or two. Yeah. So I did ceramics, and fun fact, I became president of my high school ceramics club.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I wasn't really that good at ceramics, so I still don't know to this day how that happened, but I was very enthusiastic about it. So enthusiasm can outweigh skill, apparently. And
That's what the ceramics club needed, was someone who was enthusiastic about the craft.
yeah, exactly. So I chose ceramics, and then I chose improv. And so I did improv in high school, and this was a very quick quarter.
Oh,
so
wow, just a
10
quarter.
weeks of a 40-week school year. So really quick. I mean, 10 weeks is not that much. And,
No, not
and
at
it was
all.
in high school, and it was 35, 40-minute periods. So the amount of depth you could go into is definitely limited, but my first exposure there, I really enjoyed. And I did not pursue any improv or theater in high school or college or any time after that. Just that one quarter experience I enjoyed. And that was my first exposure with improv. Then I did not get back into improv until this year from then.
Okay.
One caveat to that. This is one caveat.
This is.
It was that when I was in college, I'm 26 now, so that was just got out of college four and a half years ago.
Okay.
I was in a freestyle rap club for
What?
almost 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Which I think many would say is a form of improv.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you know Freestyle Love Supreme?
I do.
Oh my goodness.
Love that.
Yeah, that's definitely improv.
Yeah.
I think like it's a branch of improv because
Of
you're
course.
focusing on a specific genre that, oh my gosh, takes so much skill.
Yeah, and so when I was in that rap club for in college, I didn't think of it as improv. I just thought of it as a hip hop and rap club, and it wasn't until I started doing improv this year that came up, and somebody in IFTP said to me like, "That is improv," and I was like, "Oh." You're right. Like I never thought of myself as having had any improv experience, substantively before coming to IFTP. But I guess my time in the rap club really was improv experience.
Wow. Okay. So just a teeny little tidbit of improv in high school.
Yeah,
And then
a
4
lot in
years.
college.
Yeah. 4
because
years.
it was every Friday we would meet for 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
And it was a group of us, anywhere from 5 to 20 would show up. Maybe on average 10 people show up. We sit in a circle. You have a beat going, and so you just have the instrumental. So on average 3 or 4 minutes and per song, and one person starts. And it goes to the next person in the circle when the song ends. So you have to just go for 3 or 4 minutes of a nonstop freestyle rap monologue.
My gosh.
And you have 10 other people in the room just looking at you. And, you don't want to be that guy to be like, pass, like, or just after a minute and be like, that's all I got. Let's wait out the track till the next person. You're encouraged to complete those 3 or 4 minutes, and it's a great environment there. I love the group there. Shout out to CU Cyphers is what we call our group. It's a great environment. It's like very scary at first. You show up there, it's like 19, 18, whatever, and it's like, all right, like welcome to the club. You just get thrown into the deep end, sit in the circle, and then you realize what's happening, and it's like, oh, it's my turn. Oh, I have to fill 3 or 4 minutes with improvised rhymes and come up with material to talk about. So, it was really a great exercise.
Yeah, 3 to 4 minutes. That's substantial.
It's a lot of time.
I feel like even like a minute and a half, like especially if you're just starting out, that's brutal.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd put down some terrible bars if I were to do that.
I've said some stuff that I'm very glad was not recorded. I did not know the term gray space then, but oh man, there was some gray spacing. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I've definitely. Wow. Okay. So what?
Have you ever freestyle rap, Michael?
I kind of like by myself. Not for 3 to 4 minutes at a time. But on occasion, I enjoy coming up with a little ditty here and there.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, but not polished.
I don't think many freestyle raps are polished.
Yeah, I was once in college. I was in a philosophy class, and for some reason we were reading some text, and I was bored, so I decided to write a short rap from the perspective of the philosopher.
Amazing.
But the mistake I made was that I raised my hand and asked if I could share it. And I think people were confused why I was sharing this. And not that I necessarily think it was bad. It was just random. And, I realized at that point, maybe I should not do that anymore. I was an acting major in college. And I think, when you get some of the arts kids in those classes where, there are some philosophy majors in that class, and then I show up and I'm, I don't know if we were reading like Immanuel Kant or something like that. Like, I can't remember anymore, but it was,
you mean you?
It's kind of, yeah. Oh no. I've, kind of laid low a little bit on my rap career.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're still young. You can still have.
Yeah. I'm kind of waiting till I get to my 30s, and I think that's when I'll drop my first album on SoundCloud. Probably.
There we go.
Yeah. So on occasion, but I want to ask. So you had this exposure to improv in high school, and I'm guessing that was mostly like short form games, kind of things like that, silly stuff.
It's hard to remember. I remember it was definitely a lot more games than scenes.
Yeah.
At least comparing it to IFTP, the ratio of time we spend doing games to scenes. I recall a lot more games. We played Mafia quite a number of times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a great game.
I think it was definitely like easing you into improv and doing a lot of games to do that. We did scenes as well, I recall. Definitely not long term. Long form mean probably short form.
Okay.
Don't remember it too well. I think that was my first or second year of high school. So
It's
it's quite a while ago to remember.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty old, so I'm older than you. But we're not going to talk about that. Okay.
We're just two young men here,
Yeah. Just two young, early 20s.
Early 20s, yeah. 22, 23.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me today, and I'm going to remember that.
Someone thought I was 38 the other day, and
how'd that feel?
I was confused for their sake because, I mean, I don't know what their definition of what a 38-year-old man looks like, but all right, 38, I'll take it.
Well, if you were 38, I think you look great for 38.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, a very youthful 38.
For 26,
26, don't get me started, Dan. All right. Okay. So in college, 4 years of this, the CU ciphers.
There we go.
And was that okay? So were you like generally interested in performing or interested in doing rap? Because to me, I'm sitting here like, even as like an acting major, like, I don't know, for me, I would have been like, it takes a lot of guts to go join a freestyle rap group that meets weekly and just throws me in going like, all right, 3 to 4 minutes, give us your best.
Oh yeah. I had a close friend who was in the rap club, and we became friends beginning of freshman year. Shout out to Evan Zacco, aka Doughboy.
Doughboy, there you go.
There we go.
Pillsbury.
And so it's ironic because he's like jacked and shredded. So it's like Doughboy is just a weird name for him. But anyway, so he looped me into the rap club because he was rapping in high school and naturally decided to join a rap club when he got to college. So I wouldn't have joined it had he not become a close friend of mine and been like, come through to this rap club I do and just try it out. So I had zero desire to seek out a rap club on my own. It was only from him, and I went there and really liked it.
Wow, that's really cool. It's just like you had a friend who was doing something and you're like, yeah, why not?
Exactly. Peer pressure can be good sometimes.
Yeah, that's positive peer pressure. So kids at home who are listening, we got a lot of kids in the audience of the show.
Yes.
do the things your friends do. Don't ask questions.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't ask questions.
Questions lead to answers you don't want to know.
Exactly. All right. Wow. Okay. So 4 years. And so you
Yep.
meet weekly.
Yeah.
You guys would rap. You do your 3 to 4 minute songs.
We'd have some rap battles too now and then. Oh, yeah. Those got violent, like verbally violent, not physically.
Verbally. Yeah. That would be, I feel like that would take away from the art form if it got physically violent.
It would,
Hey, keep it to the words. Yeah, the pen is mightier than the sword. That's what I've heard.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. And you want to keep true to that. Did your group perform at all?
We did. We did performances around campus now and then.
Yeah.
And those performances, I think we did some rap battle performances, and those were obviously improvised. Because rap battle, it has to be improvised.
Yeah.
We did some performances where we wrote raps and then performed them. I think we did some as well that may have been freestyled, but
Wow.
yeah, we did some.
That's cool.
Yep, it was fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I did a couple of performances that absolutely just terrified me at that time in my life.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, those were fun. I had this idea where like we never did it, but I was thinking for Valentine's Day, because I'm like a romantic at heart, we could like walk around campus and like freestyle rap like love bars to people. That was like
I
a sweet
like that
thing to
idea.
do, just to like counter out the like hostile, absolutely messed up things we would say behind closed doors in the rap club.
Yeah, of course,
in practice.
of course.
Just to spread some positivity.
Yeah,
we didn't
I like
ever
that
end up
idea.
doing that, but it's just an idea I was thinking would be really cool.
yeah. All right. Do you think we should both try and drop like 4 bars
Okay.
of a romantic rap right
Oh,
now?
Wow. Okay.
Right now.
Oh man.
We're just gonna try.
Okay. I guess I'll just say, with all this rain, it's getting pretty steamy. I'm looking at your eyes, man. They're looking pretty dreamy. Yeah. A little shy of blue and maybe some brown. Did you take that class with Jamie about the clowns? Is that 4 bars? I really don't know. Maybe I'll go and ask the boy of the dough.
Oh. Shout out to Zach.
Yeah, shout out to, exactly. Did you call him Zach?
Yeah. Wasn't his name?
Evan Zacko. We could call him the Zach.
Man.
The Zacko, maybe a bit of a wacko.
Oh, Wacko Zacko.
Yeah, wacko Zacko.
Yeah, doughboy.
The boy.
All right, I gotta spit back though. Okay. Roses are red.
Oh, God.
Violets are blue. I look. Oh no. I see your boyfriend. I'd rather be with you.
Oh. Man.
Cries. That was in my head. That was gonna be a lot easier, and then I froze up there.
Wow,
So
okay.
album's coming soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you're gonna write most of the lyrics though. It might take me a minute.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not strong. Okay, thank you for doing that with me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm always down to freestyle rap on camera.
Yeah.
I know we have millions of viewers for the
Billions,
podcast.
actually.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, we're very popular in everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, that's why it's
Everywhere.
billions. Yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah, world's about to cross 8 billion in population. We've got about 3 billion of that
Oh man.
locked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's definitely capacity for that like 30-second little clip where we rapped in this video to be the part that goes viral.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, you understand.
Great. I feel like now IFTP members are gonna come up to me and be like, "I challenge you to a rap battle."
Yeah, you gotta-
I will accept.
IFTP members, random people on the street.
Oh gosh.
Be ready. You've opened up a world of pain. Yeah. All right, dude. So
No pain, no game.
yeah, no pain, no gain. There you go. So you finish up college, 4 years. You go from like novice rapper to like, I'd say highly experienced like freestyle rapper. I mean, 4 years of a fairly weekly like practice. That's no joke. That's some serious like honing of your skill. So you finished college, and you went to Cornell.
Yes.
Cornell. I research CU. CU Cyphers, Cornell University.
Exactly. Some say research, some say stalking. It's all the same.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Well, we say research here. So you graduate from Cornell. How do you end up out here in Los Angeles?
I came out here for graduate school. For me, it was a matter of going into PhD programs and deciding where to go based on the best fit for the program, and that ended up to be UCLA. So I ended up in LA.
And there you go. UCLA, shout
Exactly.
out hometown school.
Yeah.
I didn't go there, but I know people who did. So there you go. All right. So you came out here to UCLA for graduate school, just a measly master's degree, if you will, because you're far beyond that at this point. And was there, when you moved out here, were you interested in pursuing any sort of performance? Because you're like, you know what? I just finished undergrad. I've been doing this freestyle rap. Now I'm in Los Angeles working in your master's program. Was there a part of you that was like, I still want to do some performing or some rapping or something like that?
Yeah, there was a part of me that wanted to do performing. And I remember when I moved out to LA 4.5 years ago, I had like a list of things that I want to do out here.
Wow.
And I'll be honest, I did not get very far down the list. It's more like, I'm going to do this one day. One day, improv was on my list when I came out here.
Wow.
I was thinking, that would, because one of my older brothers did improv for many years, and I just heard about it through him. He had a great experience doing improv, and I was like, I think that would be fun for me to do too one day.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I was like, one day I'll do improv, and been in LA a year and a half before the pandemic hit. I still hadn't got around to even Googling like improv clubs near me or anything.
Yeah.
And pandemic hits, obviously, then I'm not going to be able to start improv.
Yeah, not worth it.
Yeah, so it was always in the back of my head, but I started it earlier this year. It finally was like, I've been wanting to do improv, and I'm actually going to actively look into opportunities to do improv and come here and do it. And I guess for me, I view improv versus freestyle rap as, I didn't even view, as I mentioned, freestyle rap as a form of improv, but for me, just had different reasons for doing each of them, where for me to do improv was more to get out of my comfort zone, to challenge myself and activate a different part of my brain, and really just to try it out, to see, to experience that sensation of like struggle and failure again, where for me, I had done a lot of research and ping pong the past several years when I was living in LA, and I like focused on each of those and was able to do very well in each of those. Yeah. And I was like, feels like my routine has become too comfortable, where I want to fail a lot again and challenge myself. And what a better way to just struggle, experience a lot of failure than doing improv. And I feel like there's a saying that I forgot whether I heard it before or after I started IFTP that I love, which is, I don't study improv to get better at improv. I study improv to get better at life. And I absolutely love that. That was like my improv mantra.
I love that.
I love it. And so for me, I even remember before I even started doing improv, I was just really drawn to like the psychological benefits of doing improv, where reduces your, it improves your creativity, improves your spontaneity, reduces any anxiety, especially when you deal with unpredictable situations in life, which are all around us, and
every day.
Makes you a better communicator. So the list goes on and on for what are the benefits of improv psychologically, and to me, I was like, that sounds like a great way to improve my capacity to live and enjoy life.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So I like how you like backed it up with research too. Like, I'm going to do improv. Here's why.
Yeah. Like before I emailed Matt, like to join the studio, I'm on like Google Scholar just searching for like the psychological benefits of improv for cognition.
I feel like, Dan, I'm seeing, just based off what I know about your story so far, is I'm kind of seeing a trend here where something I really appreciate you is that you're willing to just go and try things. You did ceramics and improv in high school, which are like, you just show up and do it. Like ceramics is something I've never done ceramics in my life. I can't say I've had an opportunity, but yeah, I don't know. I love that attitude of, you're like, you know what? I'm going to show up and try this. Oh, my friend's in a freestyle rap group. Yeah, I'll go. Oh yeah. Improv. Well, I heard it's good. I'm going to do it. Like, and you've balanced that between a life of like being a professional table tennis player, an academic. Like, oh my gosh, Dan.
Oh, thank you.
Dare I say, Renaissance Dan.
I appreciate that.
Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, I feel like you gotta, there's a quote that I love there are a couple of quotes that I love that I feel like have inspired my attitude with doing those things. And one is that like emotions and fear are always temporary, but like regret is always forever. So I try, I try to live my life with what I call a regret minimization framework, where it's like not always thinking what choices should I make in life to optimize how happy I am or how much pleasure I experience, but what choices should I make to minimize my long-term regret? And so that's something that I try to do. And, you know, Michael Scott quoting Wayne Gretzky's, of course, you missed 100% of the shots you don't take. So,
Yeah.
I like to try to look back on my life and be like, okay, cool. Like I did things that may have not gone well or may have gone well, but at least I was like proud of myself for going for it and doing it. I remember one thing that when I was in the rap club and really enjoying doing the rap and experiencing like a lot of flow and sensations of just writing a lot and being in that headspace, I wrote a rap about Cornell and just, you know, various things around campus or my experiences at Cornell that I enjoyed about being a student there. And I wrote this rap, and then just like on a whim, you know, I had it in my laptop on my computer in a document. I just wrote it out.
Yeah.
And then the same day, I just was like, let me just walk to the dean's office and just like rap this for him. So I walked into like the dean's office at Cornell and asked the secretary, I was like, is, you know, Dean like so-and-so here? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I just have like a rap to perform for him. And she was like, what? I'm like, and so I walked in and I was like, hey, like, you know, I'm a sophomore or whatever. I was sophomore, junior. You know, I love Cornell a lot. I'm a very passionate student here. Can I like share with you this rap I wrote? I think he probably was just like, what the heck is going on right
caught
now?
Off guard. He's like, wait, what? Sure.
Anyway, so like, that was an experience for me. I remember in college where I was like, this is such a weird thing to do that this dean might look at me like I'm nuts. Yeah. It might be extremely awkward. I mean, it was like pretty awkward.
Yeah, sure.
But I like to do those things just to try to like not overthink. It's like making a decision in improv where when you have a decision, if you overthink it too much, you might not do it. Or you might, you know, like when you do it, it won't feel natural. So I remember there was an experience where I was like really excited to do that. And looking back, I'm like, how, you know, I would not do that now, it feels like, but in that moment, it was just a fun thing that I enjoy doing.
Also, I can't believe like you could just like get to the dean. Like I can't even remember who my dean was. So like now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, who? And where was his office? Like, you know? So I think that's cool too that you just like walked right up, dean's in, great. I got something for him. And then you just got in. Like,
and I always knew where the office was because I could, you know, smell the burning after because of the fire I dropped.
Oh my goodness. You smell that? That was me.
Those were my nerdy bars.
It's like, you know that meme of the caveman like over the fire? It's like man discovers fire. It's like everyone heading to the dean's office. Like,
oh man.
That's fantastic. So that's like that story is like the good version of my story about my philosophy class, except yours was actually cool. Versus
dorky, cool. There's a fine line.
There is a fine line. There definitely is a fine line. Yeah. But I think that's really awesome. And like you said, like a regret minimization framework. Oh, that's such an academic way to phrase that. And I love it. I love it. I'll make that up. Okay. So you moved to LA. Yes. You have some goals. There's a bit of a pandemic in there.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So pandemic happens. We get through it. We get to this year. How'd you find IFTP?
Well, the way I found IFTP was Googling improv classes in LA. And IFTP has some excellent reviews and was clear that the people who come here love it. So I saw that Matt had this drop-in one-day improv workshop going on.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like for beginners, just 2 hours, one time, come in, no commitments, just for one day, do improv with us, no strings attached. So I remember I wouldn't have signed up like at that point where I was at. I was like hesitant, like, do I want to make a long-term commitment here because I might hate this?
Yeah.
I might not enjoy doing improv. And, you know, I was really glad that we had that like one-time opportunity to go in And I told myself the worst thing that happens is I, feel uncomfortable for 2 hours and like regret doing that, and it's whatever. And even I wouldn't regret it because I wouldn't have known if would have enjoyed it had I not done it at all. So like
because of the framework.
Exactly. All bad experiences, unless there's severe physical or psychological harm involved, all experiences you have that don't go ideally are still useful because you learn that they didn't go ideally. You wouldn't have known if you hadn't done that.
Yeah.
So like I stopped into that, and Matt ran that, and it was a bunch of just random strangers like me who were not at IFTP who just came into this thing. And it was fantastic. I loved being there. Matt facilitated it beautifully. And I remember, like, as I was doing the improv there, I was most fascinated. It was like I was hard to get out of my academic head there.
Yeah.
And I was, not exactly thinking about this as an improviser. I was thinking about it more as a psychologist and researcher, like analyzing, like, what the heck are we doing here all together?
Yeah.
Like, what are these improv games?
If you're studying behavior, coming into a class,
Matt's like, Dan, oh, sorry, Matt, I was taking notes for my thesis. So I remember like saying to Matt afterwards and just thinking like, what Matt just created with these 10 or 12, whatever it was, random strangers in this space on Pico Boulevard for 2 hours, what he facilitated and created was this improv culture and environment where we were collaborating and doing scenes together, was this like amazing social psychology experiment like occurring before my eyes. The way that he facilitated it, I just thought was amazing how he could take all of these people who were strangers, had their own anxieties and their own strengths and weaknesses and whatever thoughts about improv that they had that were motivating or inhibiting them. Matt could just take that and direct scenes and direct these games and make us all have a good time and perform somewhat well at improv. I was just blown away by like how that occurred.
Yeah. And I think about that too. Like you said, like these are like, especially like a drop-in class like that. It really is just a bunch of random people.
It really is. Like, and to allude to like ping pong here, if you take a lot of people off the street who've never played ping pong, and even if you have a great coach or whoever, give them a bunch of rackets and balls and say, let's, do a drill, I'm going to coach you. Like, let me tell you, after 2 hours, they're not going to be like that much better. It's a learning curve.
A little bit, but
it was kind of like, I guess I imagine there, thinking about it as improv, the extent to which these strangers with presumably little or no improv experience were doing the art form after just an hour or two was like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So, it was like really how welcoming improv could be to people with little experience and how intuitive. I think what it was Matt was able to unlock in each of our minds a ability to do improv that's there all along, but we have these defenses that don't let that ability come out for whatever reason. Of how we think we will appear, or various forms of self-consciousness and awareness.
Yeah, all the things we get caught up on.
Exactly.
That prevent us from being successful in life and in scenes.
Yeah, totally. Prevent us from being vulnerable on a stage. And playing a really weird, goofy character is something that most people who don't practice improv would be like, that doesn't sound comfortable to go on stage and play somebody of a different gender or sexuality or with a different accent or who has some weird fetish or whatever weird characters that we play in improv.
Yeah, such a wide variety.
Totally.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Just you coming. Oh man. That I wish I could have seen that class because I think in my little experience as a teacher, I think it can be particularly challenging just to help people who are new to improv be successful. It takes a special kind of teacher to do that because those initial moments can be such a big leap of faith for them. Like for people who are coming in, it's their first time, and you have to build a classroom and an environment where they can feel safe and trusting of you as the teacher and not too nervous around everyone else that's in there as well. Because you're asking a lot of people who show up to an improv class. Yeah. Like, hey, like this class only goes well if you do something.
Exactly. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Okay. So you took that drop-in class.
Yes. And then I decided right after that, that night, I would like to sign up for monthly classes here.
All right.
So that drop-in class goes in March. and started the classes in April. A week or two later it was.
Wow. And that was the Wednesday class.
Exactly.
You took my spot.
Well, I mean, that was Monday. I did Monday with Ava every month until this month, and just my schedule just changed a little bit. So I'm doing Matt's Wednesday this month. And,
okay.
Yeah, this is my first time doing Matt's Wednesday. I've done a few makeups classes in it over the past several months, but yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so you started in Ava's class, and how were your first couple months? Like starting with Ava, just getting into everything. How was that for you? Kind of fully embracing improv.
I mean, Ava was a fantastic teacher for me, and I look forward to working with her, continuing in the future as well. Ava was just fantastic to break me into doing improv and be such a supportive figure in me, like overcoming those initial barriers that we all have to starting improv for the first time, where I could see for myself and feel those first 2 months were just a transformative experience of changing the way I performed in improv and even in everyday life, just doing things that I couldn't have done before. So, I mean, it was fantastic. It was a really smooth experience, fortunately for me, where what's also interesting is month to month, our classes, the people who are attending change slightly, majorly or slightly depending on what month it is or where it is by nature. But kind of for me, that first month was like obviously my first month in improv with these people and 4 classes to settle in and start figuring out what improv is. The second month was some different people who stayed or new people coming in. And that changing scenery was kind of like another adaptation phase for my brain to adapt to new improv partners, new strangers I was now collaborating with, performing in front of. And obviously, as all the teachers at IFTP do month to month, is do new improv games often. It was like the first month was developing my rawest self as an improviser, and the second month was like adding a second layer to that and settling into like, I am an improviser now. I could do it for a second month and feel at ease, going forward. It was like this really steep, just learning curve at first, where I learned a lot the first 2 months. And I've learned more every month, but those first 2 were really great. Kind
of your foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. And one example of like I mentioned, I did things outside of IFTP as well that I wouldn't have done had I not started improv. Where this past May, it was either May or April. Anyway, a few weeks after starting improv, I was a teaching assistant for a class on campus, and as a teaching assistant during class, I helped out with instruction a bit, but I was not a primary instructor. There was a professor there who gave the lecture and directed the class, and I was there to help him out as needed. I got a email from him. He had an emergency, a family emergency, where he emailed me like 5 minutes before class. I'm already in the classroom.
Oh my gosh.
Unloading my backpack, getting my laptop ready to, have my class and be fairly passive and wait for him to, if he has anything for me to do, but otherwise sit there, listen, work on my own other work and be there. Have a chill 2-hour class. He sent me an email that's like, I had this family emergency. I cannot make it to class today, with like 5 attachments of like, here's the lecture slide, here's the PowerPoint, here's the homework they got to hand in, here's what you have to assign to them. And I'm just like, this is, in my head, I'm like, this is not part of my job description. But I remember in that moment, oh my goodness, was like, this is improv in the real world, baby. I said to myself, like, here we go. I have improv training to react to social situations that are high pressure under uncertainty, in a simulated, I always get those words confused for better or for worse, simulated environment in IFTP. And here I remember I went up in front of the class and said to the students, I treated them like my improv team partners in here. And I was like, so I got an email here and I know what you know right now, and we're going to open up this lecture and we're going to figure it out together. And it was a really fun class. I remember I wasn't nervous. I was at ease because, I'm doing improv. I realized like we're going to figure it out. And the worst fear you can have and the worst stress you can have is the fear of not feeling like you have your lines prepared for a situation. And I knew I didn't have any lines prepared. I had to process things on the spot. But the training I did at IFTP made me feel comfortable with that. Wow. And it was a really fun class.
It was a 2-hour class?
Yeah, it was a 2-hour class where I had to just read the slides and try to give the lecture and help the students out on whatever assignment they're working on.
Wow. I can't imagine like just getting someone else's materials and be like, and go do the class. Like
I would definitely not say the students got their full tuition's worth from my instruction that day, but I can say, you know, we had a good time and I did what needed to be done.
Yeah, I bet you put your own spin on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. I've previously been a middle school teacher and can understand what it's like, you know, like doing stuff on the fly, but it's my class. Right. You know, so I can't imagine someone else's class.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to.
I'm getting stressed out and I'm not in that situation. I was like, Dan, we need more time, Dan. We need at least, 10, 15 minutes to look over everything. That's pretty cool.
Oh, and thank you.
Definitely scary in the moment, but I think like how you can look back at that now and realize kind of the crossovers, the parallels between that and just doing improv in class is, I think, really important and such a good like use of what you've learned in class, applying it to a real life situation that required you to be on your feet, moving, working with other people to make something happen.
Oh, literally. I usually would sit down for class for those 2 hours. I had to be on my feet standing in front of the class for 2 hours.
I mean, that's a serious class.
And I think like that saying I said, I do studying improv to get better at life, not to get better at improv.
Yeah.
If I hadn't heard that saying, maybe I wouldn't have made that connection of like, my improv training is not that much different than having to adapt to this situation at work right now.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Improv lessons are life lessons.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So Dan, I'm wondering in your 7th month journey here at IFTP, with more to come.
I'm in the third trimester of my
third trimester. Wow, congratulations!
Thank you.
Trimester. What a doctor word. In your time here, how do you think you have grown as an improviser from when you started in that drop-in, those first few months with Ava to where you are now, jumping into the Wednesday class with Matt? Mm-hmm. How do you think you've grown as an improviser?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I'm less hard on myself of like expecting a scene to go well and being upset if it doesn't go well, or, being self-conscious about like, thinking about just holding myself to an expectation of like doing a scene well and being funny. That's not something that as much now bothers me or I think about. I try to view the scenes as like simulated real life conversations or developing characters that would be and seeing how they would behave in a scene and trying to understand whatever like fictitious world we're creating as a world that could plausibly exist and how would that world look like, rather than at first viewing it as like maybe some fun fake game or some like mini production we're putting on and where, Ava says go and I'm going to do something and try to be funny and not necessarily do something that's like realistic or think, how can I get into this character's perspective? And I remember, perhaps it's Ava or where I've seen this, but I think it was Ava saying like looking at a scene and seeing how one person says something and then I think it's Ava and then the other person says something back and Ava will like give feedback during the scene and say to whoever, me or whatever improvisers up there and say, what you just said there back to them, like listen again to what they just said to you. Is that really how your character would respond to that? How does your character feel about what they just said to you? And that's something that is really difficult initially to get into where, if we're doing a scene and I'm trying to play a character and you say something to me, right now, I'm just thinking, how can I develop my character? How can I give more information about who my character is? If I don't pay attention to something you just said to me, like that could have been insulting or it could have been really exciting or had some sort of stakes that my character would care about. Like that's something that I think I've experienced or tried to work on. Working on not just viewing a scene as a series of lines and dialogue, but doing the scene as two characters interacting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
leading with emotion rather than having words that then become emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, a lot of things. I feel like I'm still in the infancy of my improv journey.
Third trimester. Yeah.
Third trimester.
You haven't been born yet.
I'm still prenatal. Oh man.
You're improv pregnant.
I am an embryo or zygote, whatever. I don't know. I took infancy stuff a while ago.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess I would say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even like you're able to trace like from where you started to where you are now, just those basic things of like, and like you said, even after that first month, you're like, okay, now I'm an improviser. Now I gotta, kind of continue to work on these skills.
Right.
And I think that's really cool.
I think a big thing for me was not trying to be funny. And I think at first I viewed the comedic intensity of my performance.
Yeah.
What am I talking? This is how academic, how funny I am.
We tried to objectively measure how funny Dan is. And actually, we put it on a scale.
I'm like, I have to convert my like academic brain to like how normal humans talk sometimes.
Yeah,
I was trying to like think like not evaluate the success of my scene based on like how funny I am, but just like whether I played a character well and created a character and had a scene that seemed authentic and like authentic human behavior coming to life. So whether that's a sad scene, a serious scene, just a random conversation between two people, that's a smooth conversation. That is, more successful than doing a funny scene and trying to be funny, but it's really like an artificial feeling scene.
Yeah.
So for me, not focusing on being funny, but focusing on like being real and present within that scene is a big thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Playing characters who maybe are like very just like stoic or just very slow and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So in your time doing improv, and I think this applies back to your freestyle rap career as well.
Yes.
What do you think has been the impact of doing improv or freestyle rap in outside of just the classes and the joy of performing and getting to do classes and things like that? What's been the impact outside of improv class? And I know you mentioned that story about having to basically become a professor for a day.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I think already that was a great example of its impact.
Right. Yeah. I think that for me, it's a matter of just being comfortable with uncertainty and being comfortable with approaching situations and not necessarily knowing how they will unfold.
Yeah.
I think it's, we all like to enter a situation and have a mental map of how, a series of conversations or exchanges or events will unfold. And so being comfortable with not knowing how things will unfold and being more confident in my ability to adapt to like unexpected things.
Yeah. Oh man, that's cool. Yeah. And I think already, we've seen, just as we talked about earlier, your like ability to just be bold and go do things. So I think you've only learned to increase that skill of like, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to go do stuff. And I think that's a repeated pattern through your life, Dan.
Thank you.
I think that's really cool. Something that I know for me, I'm going to take that as a personal reminder. So in your improv journey, Dan, what is next for Dan?
What is next for Well, I would love to do one of our student shows or one of the, I know IFTP hosts a lot of shows. And so one of the shows where students perform, I would love to do one of those.
Get you up there.
I guess that's my next goal or step.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got performance experience. You've done that freestyle rap.
Thank you. I guess that's next beyond where we're at now.
Yeah.
Keep on taking classes here.
Yeah. Taking the Wednesday class, and now you're trying something new, being in class with Matt, different group of folks in that one.
Exactly.
And then like working towards getting to that performance, and then who knows from there?
Yeah.
Who knows from there? Probably become a doctor as well. All those other things you're doing, continue to crush it at table tennis.
I can give you your next appendix or surgery that you need.
There you go. I'll try and think of some that I'm interested in, and I'll shoot them your way.
Sounds good.
Like Brazilian butt lift, maybe.
Oh, yeah. I've done a few of those.
Yeah. I'm definitely, I think a BBL would be good for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I assume all doctors do surgery. That's
yes.
Yeah.
Especially ones with fake doctorates. It's
Yeah.
like me.
Not at all. Not at all.
Here I am talking like I have it. I still have like 18 months to go.
But you are much closer than I am. You are a degree and a half closer than I am. So because what? You have a master's and then most of a PhD, like most of.
There we go.
Yeah, a high percentage of it. So, me and my bachelor over here, we're going to go hang out. That's really cool. All right. Dan, you want to play some improv games?
Sure.
Let's play some improv games.
Okay.
I got this first one. Zap.
Zap.
Zip.
How do you do zip, zap, zap with two people?
I know. It's, we used to do that in college a lot, but it would, we'd do an elimination version. So we'd start with a full group and we'd narrow it down. And, someone messes up eventually, but as a viewer, it's a two-person zip, zap, zap. Like, come on. Yeah.
I think if one of us gets eliminated, then this interview turns into a monologue.
That's something. You're onto something there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you're doing a scene with two wizards, they could zip, zap, zap back and forth. And that would be quite fun.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
You have wizardry powers I don't know about?
Please keep that a secret. Dan.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
I'm a I wouldn't say generally. I've read the books multiple times. Yeah.
That's very high fandom.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Do you know which house you are in?
I do. I am
Can I take a guess?
Yeah.
Let's see what 3/4 of a PhD in psychology gets you.
75%.
Can I read Michael's personality? Let's see here. You are, I'm going to say Hufflepuff.
You are incorrect.
Oh,
Would you like to take another stab at
second
it?
guess. You are Ravenclaw.
You are incorrect.
This is embarrassing. UCLA should not be watching this. Well, yeah.
There's two options left. Basically,
choose carefully.
The main two houses,
So
essentially.
You are a Gryffindor.
You are correct.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now,
There we go.
Granted, I did take that test quite some time ago. Let's see. You know the Pottermore website?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't use the website. I just took the test, and that was about all I did on there.
Okay.
And that was, I think I was a senior in high school maybe when that came out. Yeah, I remember I signed up for the beta. So I don't, any online quiz, the results can change over time.
Exactly.
I'm different than I was at 18 years old or 17 years old, whenever that was. So I like to say I'm Gryffindor, but it's Harry Potter.
That's a proud one to be.
Yeah. May I take a stab at your house?
Sure. But if you were to actually stab me, I'd have to say you're Slytherin probably.
True. Well, yeah, that is ambitious. And
Yeah.
Slytherins are ambitious. I'm going to say that you are a Ravenclaw.
So, the quiz is fairly Ravenclaw Hufflepuff hybrid for me. So there you go. I'll give it to you.
A Rufflepuff.
A Rufflepuff.
There's a Raven.
Huffleclaw.
Yeah, I like Huffleclaw. We'll have to go with Huffleclaw. That's quite good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I can see it.
Cool.
I feel like you skew more Ravenclaw to
I
me,
think
but
so.
I'm not sure.
I think so. Definitely.
Yeah.
I would say so. I haven't taken the quiz in a while.
Yeah.
I forgot which one it was more toward. But I remember the Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff scores were both very high. Where in my brain I was like, oh, let's just go with the hybrid there.
Yeah. There you go. That's
Yeah.
more interesting anyway, and probably more truthful, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, because most people are a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel that.
It's all a continuum.
It is. It really is.
Yes.
All right. So here we go. This first game I've got for us today is just to get our minds going a little bit, Dan. Now this one, there it is. I call this game Sit Down Comedy because we are in fact seated. Dan, can you verify that we are both sitting?
This is correct.
Let the record show for the audio listeners, we are sitting.
Yes.
And have been for quite some time. Now in this game, Dan, you and I are just going to bounce back and forth with some jokes. Can you give me a random number?
3.
3, great. So our jokes will be, let's say 3 polar bears walk into a bar
Okay.
and the bartender says, I'm sorry, we don't serve your kind here. And the polar bears say, well, dang it, our home melted due to climate change. Can't we please stay a while? And that's my joke. And we're just going to do a couple of those back and forth.
All right.
But the number is always going to be 3.
Uh-huh.
But we're going to keep to that same format.
And it's always 3 somethings.
3 somethings.
Walk into a bar.
Yeah. A little sit down comedy, and we'll just go back and forth for a little bit. I'll black us out when I think we're done, when we failed horrendously.
Man, all right.
All right. So thank you so much for coming to tonight's sit down comedy. Today we've got 2 incredible comics here for you. We have Dan coming at you live at the Sit Down Comedy Fest, and my name is Michael. We're so excited to perform some jokes for you tonight. Who loves bars? Am I right? Woo! Yeah. Woo! All right. And we're gonna be performing some jokes for you. Now, Dan, take it away for us.
Okay. 3 intestines walk into a bar and say, "Man, there's a lot going up here. I can't even stomach it."
That was fantastic. Give it up for Dan, everyone. Dan, stay seated. All right. I heard that 3 improvisers walked into a bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, we don't serve your kind here." And the improviser said, "You made that up." Thank you. Yeah.
Oh. Let's see. 3 Hufflepuffs walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "We don't serve your kind here." And they said, "We know your kind."
Oh boy. Oh man. All right. 3 people named Dan walk into the bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, we don't serve your kind here." And the 3 Dans say, "It's because we're not doctors yet." And then they leave.
Okay. Let's see. You inspired me here.
All right. Take it away.
3 Dans walk into a bar.
Ooh.
And the bartender is a very excited man and says, "Oh, we do serve your kind here, because I love a nice pair of triple Ds."
Oh my goodness. That bartender's in for an interesting evening.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, I heard one. 3 stools walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, have a seat." And they do.
Oh, there we go. Oh, man. Okay. Oh, we're still going here.
Yeah. We're each gonna do one more.
Okay.
We're just gonna do one more. I've decided.
Okay. This is wow. Well, okay. 3 periods walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "What would you like to order?" And they said, "We're waiting on it."
Blackout.
Yeah.
All right. That was. Thank you for doing that sit down comedy with me, Dan.
Yeah, that's an interesting game.
Yeah, it's we did it.
Yeah.
We did that game.
Those were 3 things.
Those were 3 things. Those were some jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got some good ones in there. All right. So now we're going to move to a bit more of a traditional game. This one inspired by Dan's career.
Oh.
This one is called Doctor. And in this game, Dan, you are going to be playing a doctor in a specific field.
Oh.
Which I will give to you. And I will be asking you some questions related to this field. This is similar to, the expert game, things like that. But I call it Doctor because that's more on brand.
There we go.
So I have selected a random category and written it down in this notes app. And you, sir, are going to be a doctor who is an expert in the field of pizza toppings.
Okay.
And boy, do I have some questions for you, doctor.
Okay.
So we'll play our scene. I'll black us out when I think we're done. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and give it up. A round of applause here for our guest today. We have a doctor who is an expert in pizza toppings. One of, I think, the most interesting fields, pizza toppingology, if you will. So, doctor, we're so excited to have you here. If you could tell us just a little bit about where you've studied and kind of why you got into pizza toppings in the first place.
Yes. I'm Dr. Grease.
Dr. Grace, wow.
Yes. No napkins. I hate napkins. I'm Dr. Grease, and I studied at the I got my doctorate in pizza studies from Domino's University.
DU.
Not many people know that Domino's has a university.
Wow. Prestigious, I'm sure.
Exactly. It's a splendid place.
Wow. So Dr. Grease, pizza studies. And what got you interested in pizza studies?
Well, when I was born with the name Grease, it was either Grease the musical or Grease the pizza.
Wow.
And we all have choices to make in life.
That's true, we do.
We can choose what accents to use. We can choose what type of grease you want to be. And I chose grease on pizza, not grease on hair.
Wow. You said, you're the one that I want. Pizza toppings.
Exactly.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. What an incredible origin story for your career.
Some tell me it's a cheesy origin story, but I tell them there's much room for error in my career.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's incredible, Dr. Grease. You seem like a well-learned man. Now, Dr. Grease, I'm curious. There is often what's known as a controversial debate in the field of pizza toppings from my brief reading about, of course, pineapple on pizza. And I'd love to get an expert's opinion because I myself am a big fan of pineapple on pizza, but many friends, lovers that I've had in the past disagree with me. And I'd love to get an expert to weigh in on it.
Well, one of the first things that we look at with pizza is how greasy it is. And you have two ways to make pizza optimally greasy. One way is pure cheese. A fresh sheet of grease on top of the cheese.
Just clean.
It's traditional, it's clean, it's pristine, it's hard to hate.
Clean and pristine. I love that.
A second way is to add even greasier toppings than cheese on top of the cheese.
Oh my gosh.
I'm talking pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
I'm talking oily olives.
Oily olives.
Anchovies.
Anchovies.
We can make grease on grease. Now, pineapple doesn't have any grease in it.
That's true. I checked.
So it covers up the grease of the pizza without adding more grease on top of it.
Wow.
And so pineapple on pizza undermines the greasiness of pizza. So I'm not a fan of it.
Not a fan. Dr. Grease has spoken. I suppose, Doctor, I may change my ways going forward. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights. Now, Doctor, we've seen over the years a number of innovations with pizza toppings and modifications for pizza. There was, of course, the famous internet meme, "None pizza left beef," which, of course, was an image of basically the pizza dough with some beef tossed upon it.
Oh, yes.
We've seen hot dogs pizza. We've seen hamburger pizza, mac and cheese pizza. What do you think the next 20 years of pizza toppings looks like?
Oh, yes. I think we're going to go back to the basics.
Back to the basics.
Yes.
Minimalism.
Minimalism, because you see, all of those pizzas are imposter pizzas. Yes. A burger on pizza is more burger than pizza. Oh my God. It's just not right. They're disrespecting the art form.
Of course.
And more personally, I feel like they're disrespecting me and my legacy.
No,
it feels like my PhD from Domino's is just toppling over when I see these disgusting toppings on pizza. And I just die a bit inside. And a lot of me is already dying from all that grease I've eaten.
that makes sense. You must have a terrible heart.
Cardiologists and I don't get along.
Yeah.
They don't understand what a real doctor does. So I think the future of pizza is minimalism.
Minimalism, yeah.
It's bread, sauce, and cheese.
Yeah. Wow. Bread, sauce, and cheese. So, Doctor, that leads me to my final question. Could you describe your perfect slice for me?
Ah, yes.
Oh, wow. You really like pizza.
I remember the first time I had pizza. The year was 1969.
Wow, great year.
Yes.
I've heard a song about that year,
Yes, there are many.
about the summer in particular.
Well, I had my pizza in the fall, so
Wow, okay.
I was still digesting the summer, and the pizza was like the dessert on top. It was
Beautiful
the
metaphor.
toppingless topping to the summer. And this pizza just riveted my engines. It just made me say, wow, to Greece or not to Greece?
Blackout. Oh my goodness. Oh, Dan, I loved it. I loved it. I loved your Dr. Grease character.
Thank you.
I had a
It
great
wasn't a
time.
character. How many different accents did Dr. Grease have? Accents are not my strong point. I forget which accent I'm currently doing, and then it slowly evolves throughout a scene usually.
Yeah, that's okay though. I think that's kind of fun. And I think at the end of the day though, your viewpoint as Dr. Grease was consistent.
Yes.
I knew what this man was about, the simplicity of
Yes.
pizza, the grease,
Yes.
kind of those simple elements being drawn out by the other ingredients. So
Exactly.
I can appreciate his perspective, and although I disagree, he obviously knows far more than I do.
Yes,
he's a learned man. He went to
pizza
DU.
expert. Yeah. DU.
So who am I but simply a sheep in his flock?
Exactly.
Sheep in
I
his flock.
think Dr. Grease would concur.
Well said. Well
Yeah.
said. Well said. We'll miss Dr. Grease here.
Yes.
All right. Well, Dan, we've got one more game we're going to be playing today, and this is in tribute to a rapper you might be familiar with, Eminem.
Oh, yes.
Also a candy you might be familiar
Yes.
with. All right. So two things: a rapper and a candy. This game is called "My Name Is."
Oh,
Was that a good Eminem impression?
that was pretty good.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah. We had good. I'm not going to do that again. My name is okay. So in this game, Dan, you and I earlier today went on the internet and I found a random name generator.
What?
And this name
Slim
generator.
Shady. Oh, sorry, I was a little delayed there.
Well, stand up. Wait, please.
Okay, you
My
found a
name
random
is-
name
okay.
shit. What?
So I went. I went on a. Oh my goodness! I went on a random name
And scene.
and scene. And that was the game. No.
Okay. For the third attempt, you went on a random.
So I went on a random name generator, and I generated for us two names, and we're just going to improvise a scene by taking upon these two names for ourselves, and that's all we're
Okay.
going to get for this scene. So your name, Dan, is going to be Janice Magnus. So we can say that a couple times. Janice Magnus.
Janice Magnus.
Janice Magnus.
Janice Magnus.
Janice Magnus. And my name is Branislav Edur. Branislav Edur.
Bratislavador.
Branislav Edur.
Bratislavador.
All right. So what's your name, Dan?
Janice Magnus.
And my name is Branislav Adur.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do our scene. I'll black us out when we're ready. Oh, Janice, I think that after the winter is over, we should move out of Russia. I am tired of living here.
Mr. Ador, I agree. I think the Bahamas are where we should go.
That is an excellent choice, Janice.
Yes.
You know, we have lived in harsh winter to harsh winter
Yes.
every year.
Yes. The only thing I want harsh is your passion for me. I don't want winter harshness. I want your harshness.
I like the way you speak, Magnus.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Magnus. I wish that my passion was not so affected by the weather.
Yes. When it is cold out, it's hard to be passionate.
It is hard to be hard.
Yes. The shrinkage, they say, is real.
It's absolutely brutal.
Yes.
And we've been waiting for the climate change
Yes.
to come through and make Russia a more livable location.
Yes. It skips everywhere but Russia. It hits the pole, it hits the Americas, it hits China. It doesn't hit Russia. It's scared of Putin.
It is.
Yes.
But, Janice, I must confess something to you.
Aye.
I would just have to say, Janice Magnus, if it were 30 Celsius degrees warmer, I would make love to you right now.
Oh, it's 70 degrees Celsius, whatever you are with me, baby.
Blackout! Oh, Janice Magnus. Woo! 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 Oh, man. I love that for them.
Yes. Janice has a very deep voice for a woman.
Janice does. Well, Janice is an excellent lover, willing to take care of Branislav Ador.
Exactly.
Branislav Ador.
Yes.
That's fun to say. All right. Thanks for jumping in on that one with me, Dan. I appreciate it. I enjoy the character that you created for yourself, Janice Magnus.
Thank you.
Magnus is a cool last name, too.
Yes,
you can
it
never
is.
go wrong.
Yeah.
Shout out the generator for that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was solid.
Yeah, it's an interesting generator. You could choose like by nationality. I was like, wow, this is an advanced generator.
And those were the Russian?
I just did all. So I was like, let's get a little bit of everybody in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just decided to do a Russian accent because Branislav. It's like
yes.
Slav, you know,
Yeah.
Slavic. It's kind of got it in there. All right. Well, Dan, today we have discussed many things. The fundamentals of table tennis. What it really means to be a doctor.
Yes.
Improvisation. The real Slim Shady.
Yes.
And the fact that you take improv to get better at life, not to get better at improv.
Exactly.
So I want to ask you this, Dan. Before we conclude today's episode, are there any final words that you want to leave us with before we go?
On the words of Eminem, you only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow or go. I don't really know. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, yo. Every moment we have is an opportunity that will come once in a lifetime. So there you go. Lose yourself.
Mom spaghetti?
Yeah, and Mom Spaghetti.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeah. Those are the most profound words that I could say in this moment here with you, Michael.
Well, I think they were well said.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you to Dan so much for joining us here on this week's episode of Improv for the Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lee Evans. And as always, if you enjoy the show, please feel free to follow us on Spotify, leave us a rating or a review, or hit us up on Apple Podcasts and tell us how much you love our rapping, particularly mine. But thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Improv for the Podcast was created by Matt Moore and Michael Lee Evans. Edited and produced by Michael Lee Evans. And finally, presented by Improv for the People. Interested in more IFTP? You can visit us at improvforthepeople.com or on our socials, such as Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember, new episodes are released weekly. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.